Yeah, that's right. I'm a fluffy dog holding a bottle of champagne, standing in the center of a pentagram. What about it? Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Therapy. The game defaulted to Japanese, by the way. This is not me. Thought it was cool though. Bandai Namco, I guess, they must have had like some internal game development hackathon and they released these 3 games for free on Steam. This was one of them. And it felt like good VGT vibes, and I just kind of started playing to get the rhythm and see what it was like. I wanted to record VGT, and I guess I just wasn't feeling like Alto's Odyssey for once in my life. I've been thinking about, I guess, sort of happiness, but also like work ethic in a way. And because we'll call it my desire to work has been fluctuating so much recently. And I don't know, it's kind of like there's a part of me that is just like, well, just sit down and do it. But at the same time, it's not always that easy. It is literally that easy though. And I guess this is what I'm, you know, combating, is like this internal, like, well, it is easy, but something's lacking. And I was just on Goodreads updating something, and okay. I wasn't done reading that. What was it? Oh yeah, and I just saw this quote from Murakami, novelist, and I guess what I internalized from it was from a book of his I read a while ago called What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. Excuse me. It's this idea where he's kind of like, you know, running and writing are a lot similar. There's no need or desire for external validation. You know, you're just kind of silently going forward. You're internally fueled to keep going. When you're running a marathon was his example. Man, she's a sleepy one. You know, when you're running a marathon, you're not sitting there needing constant approval to keep going. You just do it. And for him, you know, writing is a similar practice. I wanted to say art. I think in this case, they're, you know, effectively the same thing. And, you know, yesterday I sat down for 15 minutes and solved some issues I was having with the game I'm developing. And today has just been more difficult. I don't know what to make of it though. It's just more difficult to sit down and do, I guess. And the last couple days I was realizing, like, maybe it's just because, like, my blood sugar's low. And that there is truth to that, but I also think it was just because I was, like, eating a lot. I think when you eat a lot, there's, you know... Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hold on, I need to go get a thumbnail real quick. But I was also... the vocal tick is so annoying. Sorry. Thinking about happiness the other day, and by the other day I mean yesterday, I was on a manhwa site and I realized that Returner's Magic Special was updated. And there was this idea of, I guess, a world in which all the characters are happy. And I don't want to spoil anything, but effectively, that world wasn't the ideal world because even though everyone was happy in it, it wasn't chosen happiness. It was an ideal happiness, and I remember reading that and going like, whoa, dude. I think it just... Sometimes you just read these things and they just kind of... They connect with everything else you're thinking about, in a way. Dude, I'm supposed to parkour up there? What the heck? You know I want to explode up the wine. Explode up, blow up. This is the thumbnail I wanted. Oh my god, the elephant. That amazing. Amazing. You know, this dog, right? Maybe this dog is happy. Destroying all this shit. But I guess it was just what kind of struck me was the idea that not how do I put this? I've been struggling with the wording, but striving for happiness presupposes you don't have what you need to be happy. So, for example, you know, I'm not happy until I make a game. Well, that requires me to be in a place in which I've published a game and made a game. And in a lot of ways, I think life is about... Oh, you bet I'm changing to that one. You know, life is about solving these problems and constantly shooting for this happiness. But it also implies that you're always going to be unhappy unless you have something. Does that make sense? You know, so it's like but you know, let's say we just move into a world in which I've published a game. Into a world that it's become a #1 bestseller. I don't know, whatever the optimal situation is. That reminds me of Beginner's Guide, but you know, how much do I derive from external validation? Is it not enough for the game to just exist? I think The Beginner's Guide is a game by the guy who made the Stanley Parable, and I resonate a lot with that too, because it was like one part of this designer wants external validation, wants to show the world his games and what they mean and how good they are, but another part of him just wants these games to exist as a product of, you know, himself. Artistic expression. It just needs to exist. It doesn't need to be validated by other sources. I wanted to come back to whatever I was talking about before, but I'm forgetting. Memory remembered. Oh, but yeah, so presupposing I'm just in this other world in which this game is a bestseller or whatever the hell. But then, you know, am I happy in this situation? And then if you think, okay, well, no, maybe I'm not. Well, then it's like, shit, then what's the point? And I think that's what I've been struggling with recently, because when I was reading, you know, maybe I'll go back into reading more about nihilism, but when you read about it, or I guess Will to Power from Nietzsche, I shouldn't generalize, you know, the idea is that, sure, life is meaningless, so it's up to you to create meaning. And in a way, you know, I've created this whole system of life being a game in order to give me this external validation around things. You know, maybe that's something I need, whatever, but I don't care what other people think, but there still needs to be this consequence in a way. And so I didn't even realize there's all this space. I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. You have to create meaning, right? And in theory, you can do that by saying life is about finishing a marathon. You know, I guess the idea is giving life meaning, right? The idea is to say, what's the point of making a game? I can't read fast enough! And so when you create the point of living, making a game, running a marathon, what's something more people will relate with? I don't know, having a family, right? Well, then in my head, it's kind of like, okay, well, how long does that happiness last? I guess I'm of the belief that happiness doesn't necessarily last forever. And that's just kind of cycle of life, if you will. And you can't just like, happiness in its own right is a choice in a way, you know, choosing what fulfills you. I'm not going to go into that, but because I don't actually believe that. But I think in a way it's kind of like it is up to you to decide what will make you happy. And so it's like, if I, treat my whole life as a game and do all these things with it, what's on the other side that'll say, oh, whatever that is, I'm going to get it. When I make a game, right? What's to say I'm gonna be content with it? Odds are I'm gonna quickly grow to wonder. I'm working on Oink in the Chamber, right? Multiplayer game. Probably won't turn out as I necessarily want it to. Dude, this is so sick. What the heck? But it's games like these that kind of motivate me and inspire me, because it's like, some experienced game developers probably made this in a week, right? Which I think is just absolutely incredible. But anyway, I digress. Finishing Oink in the Chamber, well then it's like, okay, but it's no seashell. And, that's the game that I, in many ways, want to ultimately make. I think that was something about a children's room. I only got Cowdino before I read the whole thing. And then even when I make Seashell, what's to stop me from thinking, oh, there's these other 5 ideas I want to make? And so, I guess... This just turns on. You have to... it is something Nietzsche wrote that kind of really stuck with me, but you have to desire the means as much as the result, if not more so than the result. I think... What do I think? I'm trying to think. If you don't tie happiness to making a game, to let's say having created a game, then you can tie happiness instead to the process of working on a game every day. And I think in a lot of ways I've, tied, I'm not going to say happiness, but happiness, contentedness, we'll say, to these gamified systems I've made of these daily quests and side quests and, habits, and the fact that putting +1 when I eat mindfully has meaning to me. And, I feel like garbage, I guess, when I go a day and, maybe I binge watch a bunch of YouTube or whatever, and it's like, I'm just not wired that way, but at the same time, do I have to be wired to never be happy and content with what I'm doing? Because that kind of sucks, right? I mean, in theory, it's possible I'll get tired of game development, right? I'm really focused on trying to get this frickin' painting as I do. But at the same time, I might reap all the rewards, and it's just, happiness is fleeting, is all I'm just rediscovering. I could work on Seashell, this game, for years and years and years. And there we go, you use the fan, that's actually pretty cool, which implies the other one is going to be on the balloons. And that might fill me with contentment for let's just say it takes 6 or 7 years. You know, maybe I'm sure a lot of people can relate with the fact that, like, school, for example, gives meaning because all of a sudden there's grades, there's assignments, and you have to do all these things. And while I don't think this is completely true for me, I think it's very real. I don't even know how I did that. Oh, I'm about to wreck that cake. Holy crap. Oh, nice. I unlocked that by accident. Very epic. Well, the fan wasn't wrong. You know, that contentment lasts for, you know, 7 years of development. Or school, that's not school, right? And so once that validation is over, once people are independent and freed into the world... Zarum? What is Zarum? Okay. Mochi... Didn't read the last one here. You know, once people are out in the world, then all of a sudden it's like, well, what do I do now? And so you lose all, you know, grades are not important. I went back to school for a master's and it's like, grades just are not important. To me, they weren't enough to make me do shit. And I created systems to get that meaning back, I guess? I don't know. I'm losing my train of thought, but TLDR, happiness is fleeting, and it's like, as opposed to searching for eternal happiness, I think the question is more, how can I such a freaking engineer moment, but how can I optimize my happiness for the local maxima? In other words, seashell. Let's say it takes me 6 years to develop. I don't know why I bumped down from 7. That's arbitrary. Will this give me happiness for 6 years? I don't care what happens after that. If I fall down, whatever, I get back up. But maybe it will keep me occupied, and knowing that I work on game development every day will suffice for a month. Awaken the Chamber is a better example. I could do this shit in a month, a full-time work. I very confidently believe that. So can I choose for that to be enough for now? In other words, oh hey, this is one of the other games they made. Can I let it suffice? Samishi Gariyam, okay. Total measure sum of total. Oh, let's go. I caused $160,000 of property damage. Next, that's what we like to see. Sucks to suck. Mochi ni nanka ga, I don't know this one. Etaka mo continue kara game ni haitte myou. I'll just leave. That's a good place to end it. I don't know, so it's just like, I'm not searching for happiness for life anymore. You know, I'm not searching for leaving something behind and then I'll be happy and then I can die happy kind of thing. It's just kind of like, you know what, for the next month, I'm going to work on this game, and I hope it'll keep me fulfilled. I'm just running this marathon, and I'm going to just keep going, and I hope that I can find the internal motivation for it as I'm running it. But as I was telling some friends, it's like you can get off the highway of game development at any point. You can't just stop a run, really. You can. But, oh, I guess you can. Anyway, I'm not going to go into that metaphor. That'll be another 20 minutes. Thanks for watching and or listening. Go check out Duranko Wenko. That was kind of fun. It's free on Steam. And again, it's just like a little inspirational. Like, oh yeah, a team, you know, you saw how few people there were in those credits. Have a good one. Or unless you're listening to this is a podcast, because that's what I mark it as on YouTube. Okay, I'm gonna shut up now. Have a good one. And as always, don't forget to stay awesome. See you next week. Peace.